All right. Okay, guys. See, here's the reason why I'm not a good drama streamer. It's because I can't really stay mad more than like a day. I'm already all over it, honestly. I hope Riley takes time to reflect and arrives at less dumb fuck positions. But I can't. I'm sorry, I can't stay. Um I can't stay mad for very long. She won't. No, she won't. She won't. But yeah. But the calling the bar stuff is bad, right? Well, my default reaction is yeah, it is because it's really dumb to involve like IRL stuff. I think in this case it's mitigated slightly by the fact that she invokes her legal training in her online profession, you know? Like it's not incidental to what she does. I mean, her being a lawyer is a component of her online presence, you know. Like for instance, if imagine like if Legal Eagle like did some really fucked up stuff. I mean, well, he's a lawyer. Like, you know, it's not like he has his YouTube channel and he just happens to be a lawyer. They're intricately tied. Even with that mitigating factor, though, I don't think you should be like contacting the bar. No, I don't think that's um seems unnecessary to me. You think she should be removed from the LGBTQ civil rights org she's a board member of, considering the weird misgendering and pedophile? You're just gonna ask me for every opinion I have. Okay, I don't I don't know if we're yet at a point where you could argue that a discomfort with or even an opposition to neo pronouns necessarily means that you can't be a part of like I wonder like if we go to every single LGBTQ civil rights advocacy board in the world and like ask all of them like what do you think about its pronouns, we'd probably call like 80% of them out, you know, like that would be quite a lot of them, I think. I don't know. I think I think what you guys need to understand, and I please don't interpret this as me downplaying, but what you need to understand, and I think the evidence backs this up, okay, is to you guys this is spicy internet drama, you know? The only person really affected negatively, I guess, would be Doe. But Riley will be sad for like 6 months over this. Okay, in terms of in terms of like how much rope we're giving a person to hang themselves with, you know, metaphorically speaking. Riley has dug a very deep hole in like 48 hours. So I feel like uh I feel like there's no need to be looking at the very deep hole, like looking down into the hole, you know, which is like, yeah, like really, really deep. And be like, I should contact the bar association. That seems unnecessary to me. It makes me uncomfortable specifically because it feels dehumanizing and I feel weird referring to a person as though they were an object. Right, but would you accept a person saying they didn't want to use she, her pronouns for a trans woman because they felt uncomfortable using she, her pronouns for a person who had a dick? Your discomfort's not the best argument, right? If you want to make like a broader argument about the utility of of using certain language, your discomfort is well, I guess it's not irrelevant, but for me, the its pronoun stuff is uncomfortable to use, not because of the dehumanization element. I don't give a fuck about that. It's just because when I hear a sentence that has it in it, I'm thinking object, event, concept, you know? So when I hear like, oh, you know, it did really well last night, I'm thinking, it a concert? It an argument? What it a person that's it, and then I think and then I'm fine, but for me it's not like a dehumanization thing, it's just my, you know, decades of you having it used in that way. um yeah. But that's not really an argument. I mean, that's just a, you know, it's uh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, well, that's what people say about they, them, right? A lot of people say that about they, them, singular. The argument that I just made is identical to the singular they, them argument people have made. Like, oh, well, it's a well-known, it's a used pronoun and stuff, and I know it's a used pronoun, but I'm not used to using it singular, like that kind of thing, right? But it's not, um, what do you think? Some people are claiming you misgendered it because you use they, them sometimes. I don't think you misgender a person when you use they, them. I think you misgender a person when you use they, them to avoid using their chosen pronouns. So I use they, them all the time with cis and trans people, regardless of their gender. I used it all the time in that convo as well. Riley exclusively used they, them uh, because she was avoiding using it, its. But you can hear me. Listen to me talk about. I've probably said they in the last Rittenhouse segment, talking about Rittenhouse like a bunch of times. Like it to me, to me, it's ubiquitous. I think I'm fair in that respect. But Riley was very clearly using they them to avoid using it its, which was confirmed because when I brought it up, Riley was like, "Oh, we'll talk about gender later." Like clearly, you know, she was avoiding that. Yeah. Vaush notorious for doing this during D&D and confusing us about what characters talk about. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've said this before, but you woke Zoomer jackals are out to get me canceled. So I know so many trans people, and and I don't even know who's trans, and everyone's trans, and they is the thing that I go to immediately. I just if my mouth is running slow enough that my brain catches up to what I'm saying, I can use a deliberate pronoun, but for the most part, it's just they. With um Riley was at the end of my last stream. I said I hope she didn't say this, but she did, of course. That after the whole conversation with her, Gayfesh said that Riley took all of that and was like, "So Vaush thinks it's okay to have sex in front of kids," which to me is a remarkably unwise interpretation of my argument. But anyway, we did eventually get the clip.
Gosh,
Did
like recordings are
Vosh's,
recorded. Sorry, what?
This is
well, I
from
mean, like,
after I
did
talked.
Vosh's position flip? Like, because he eventually conceded that, like, yeah, it's fine to be able to do sex like, he's fine with public sex.
I talked with her for like 2 hours. She was watching me for an hour before the 2 hour talk.
Even if it's around kids. Right? That, like, am I crazy to think that he agreed to that at the end? I don't know. Maybe I'm just tired.
I didn't know that.
Maybe. I can't let the tired excuse that. It's, man. Well, she's gonna take a break from the internet for a bit. Yeah, I talked to her in private a little bit after all of that. Before I saw that, no, it was after I saw that clip. I I did talk to her a little bit, and you know, well, I hope she improves, but she seems detached from reality. Look, like I said, this fits into the lolcow thing for me. The hole that was dug here was from her. I'm not hurt from this, you know. And also obviously, like, I understand there's a stress element because like from their perspective, right? You know, Doe and Riley are both known online. They're prominent. I mean, they're, you know, they're not invisible, but they're not large content creators. And then for me to intercede, to jump in on that, to cover the drama and then talk, I mean, it's magnifying the attention being brought to the issue 10, 50 times. So that's going to, yeah, massive amount of pressure. Different people handle pressure in different ways. I don't think that Riley handles it especially well, which is why I warned her not to talk to me. But I think I do hope she improves. It's just I think that yeah, well, because my goal here isn't to, I think you guys can agree, or maybe this is just me talking myself up, but I feel like when I'm in situations like this, I'm usually not very scummy. Like trying to drag vulnerable people on stream to like milk content from them. I feel like for the most part, I don't do that. I've even refrained from talking to Nazis back in the old days because I felt like they were unwell, and I felt like I was just, even if they were Nazis and their opinions were disgusting, I felt like I was kind of like, if I kept bringing them on, it'd just be like, you know, exploiting the mental unwellness. I try, you know, I don't like to lean in on that too hard. But with Riley, I mean, I covered the drama, which I feel I have a right to do, and Riley showed up insisting to come on, and I uh not only never asked her to come on, she stayed in chat for an hour insisting to come on. But I even said beforehand, like, be careful. There's always a deeper hole to dig. You know? I feel like I exercised a reasonable level. Yeah, President Sunday was saying don't go. You guys in chat were all saying, like, please do not go on like this. But if she, I mean, if she wants to come, I'm not gonna, like, you know, patronize her. Oh, you're too emotional to come on. Like, no, I mean, if you want to come on. But anyway, I talked with her afterwards, and I think I said this before, but like on reflection, I feel like I'm correct. I feel like it's a narcissism thing, you know. I feel like Riley is, and I do think Riley's smart, by the way. I do think that. I don't think Riley is smart, and I also don't think she's malicious. But I think Riley is difficult, like has difficulty with introspection, and I think that Riley feels a need to perform rationality as an aesthetic, because it better suits her understanding of herself. The legal briefs. No, I'm sorry. I think she's smart. If I misspoke, I do think she's smart. I don't think she's malicious. I think the legal briefs and the philosophical terminology invoked needlessly and stuff like that, I feel like these are things she does for herself, because it better fits her image of herself, that she thinks of herself as a smart woman, which I think she is. But so she dresses herself in these, you know, it's in a way, to be, you know, a little mean, it's sort of like the, you know, logical atheist type thing, you know, with the trench coat and the fedora. I mean, people adopt the affects of rationality because it suits their image of themselves, and I think Riley does that with the legal, like posting tweets in a fake legal brief. My God, I've never seen that before. That's unimaginable to me. That's incredible. I mean, that's almost like a skit, you know, like the law student who like the law student who, like, you know, posts legal briefs on the door of their neighbors to ask them to quiet down. Like, I mean, it's, but she doesn't. She did it multiple times after being made fun of too. So I think she does those things for her sake, and I think she has this very strong view of her own rationality, where she has convinced herself, delusionally, that when people disagree with her, it must be because they're not listening. She said that a million times over. Nobody's listening to me. Nobody's engaging with me. She said that to Doe when Doe was engaging with everything Riley said. Doe was on point every time, engaging with what Riley said. And then Riley said that about me when I was watching the drama between Doe and Riley. Then Riley said that to me while talking with me. And then Riley said that afterwards on Twitter and in my DMs. And then Riley said it on Twitter while saying, I'm going to leave Twitter before I kill myself. Riley, I don't think, is capable of understanding that the problem isn't that she's not being listened to, it's that she is being listened to. The problem is she's being listened to and her arguments are bad, and we're listening to the bad arguments. And that's why everything that is happening is happening. You know? I can relate to feeling like I can't be wrong on certain things. Look, I want to be clear, okay? I do often feel like I'm not being listened to, and I've made that claim many times with my drama. But the difference is, in my experience, most of the things that I feel like I'm not listened to on, if I bring people on and talk with them about it for 15 minutes, they move over to my position. You guys have seen that happen a bunch of times, whether it's about prior drama or bad faith interpretations of my arguments or like basic stuff about whether or not I believe X or Y. If I talk to them for like 5 or 10 minutes, they're usually like, oh, yeah, okay. Or like they move on, you know, it's not something they insist on. Because I feel like a lot of it literally is just a lack of information. Like there's clips circulating. But with Riley's case, I watched the argument for an hour and a half and then talked with her for 2 hours. I mean, I had engaged and I just disagreed, but she couldn't think of that as anything beyond not being listened to. Which is, at least from what I've seen, I feel like I've watched it twice, yeah. A fairly narcissistic mentality. You know, it's always other people's fault. It's always, always, always other people's fault. Um, that they disagree with me. You know, it couldn't possibly be. Yeah. She also has some very Puritan views on sex, but I think those two just mixed and, you know, made things worse. Oh yeah, like it. I'm sure by the time she got to me, she was primed to double down, but I feel like I gave her the opportunity to change her mind. You know? Like I feel like at least at the beginning of that, I was trying to like, you know, here, like here. I mean, I was frustrated towards the end, but yeah. What the fuck is this? Oh, it's already happening. Look, see? Destiny in his own chat. Oh my god, this RGR convo. Oh no, Doe baited her so hard. RGR needed to run so fast. This Doe person is so brainless. Yeah, it's... Right, see. Oh, hey, Doe. Yeah, it's baited. And this, well, the bait Destiny's referring to is probably Doe dropping the trauma bomb, which I will admit, by the way, is nuking a conversation. It is dropping a little, what is it, the little boy and the fat man on the conversation. But I think in this case it was, at first I was a bit put off by, I mean, it's off-putting, I think, by default, by way of it being, I mean, it was deliberately off-putting, but at first I was my facts and logic lord brain was put off by it. But after thinking about it more, I actually think the opposite. You want to low Artemis? All right. Artemis, be free. Be free. Ooh. Gotta install a cat door. Something like that. Anyway, what was I saying? Well, at first my facts and logic brain was irritated by it, but the more I thought about it, I think the interesting thing to me is that, you know, I don't even think Riley had to bite that bullet. I don't think that Riley needed to claim that the leering at the potential child sex slave wasn't a sex act. I feel like Riley didn't even have to bite that bullet. Even within her own logic system, I feel like Riley almost tricked herself into thinking it was necessary, like there was some like she was dazed. Yeah, no, it contradicted. I think if anything it's indicative of the fact that she wasn't arriving at her positions by thinking them through. I think she just had sort of either defensive or like a moralistic need to, if anything, I think it was effective not in showing her positions but rather her lack of positions, which was which is an interesting debate tactic. I've never had anything that extreme happen to me, so I don't think I can really drop that. I just yeah, really contrarian brained, I think. But anyway, because there's a whole bunch of Doe, you've probably seen. You've spawned a ton of discourse on Twitter. Jack Saint got over 10K likes saying, "I just saw a person claim that you're trauma dumping when you talk about trauma in the context of a conversation on CSA." And now there's some 40K like tweet talking about something similar. I mean, there's this whole, I mean, big viral tweets now because of this. I don't even know if most of the people liking these have anything to do with you. I don't even know if they know you, but that's how that works, right? Shut up. Anyway, but the point that I'm trying to get at is that, and I'm borrowing this argument a bit, but I think the reason why that Dabarino from Doe, that's the technical term. I think the reason that Dabarino from Doe, oh, you're right, we should get a soy 40K emote or something, you know? Like, I don't know how we do it because the Space Marine helmets, you can't really soy through them, but we need like some kind of 40K specific soy emote because it comes up so often. I feel like you guys deserve, you know, like, maybe like an orc or something. Yeah, or like a commissar. Yeah, dude, a commissar with like the hat and like a little sword up next to it. Oh, that would be really cute. That'd be really, 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 really cute. Hey, Merrick. What I'm trying to get at is that I think I do think there's an importance to discussing hypotheticals, but at the same time, hypothetical discussions are only valuable if they can survive contact with the real world. And I think that Doe's Dabarino was an effective way of recontextualizing the severity of what they were talking about around its real world implications rather than just this sort of abstract, detached. Because I think the idea that you're abusing children by being barefoot in public next to people with foot, like this is such a internet poisoned, completely like detached from reality perspective, like just a completely like no connection to the real world, just absolutely void brained, no relationship with reality. um so dragging that down a little bit, I think it's sometimes in a debate it's not just about the logical argument, it's about framing the debate tonally. I that's also very important. So I think that's, if nothing else, that's um valuable. I'm sure, Doe, but I'll read it so that people know what I'm responding to. The response from people has been insane. I legit didn't expect it. It's kind of frightening to have that many eyes on the first time. It was public. One of the things that specifically happened to me. I need to stop looking. It's impossible to stop. Someone said, I'm just hoping to just get blazed and disappear. Well, you can't get so high you disappear, I'm afraid. But, you know, the response has been overwhelmingly positive as far as I've seen. I mean, all the big, at least from what I've seen, it's been an overwhelming cavalcade of support. Um, you know, I'm sure Destiny's community will inevitably sort of try to project some negativity, but I think that was kind of a foregone conclusion, you know, given the circumstances. I do want to say though that given everything, considering the fact that Destiny actually made fun of your attempt in your life, that any accusations that I'm encouraging harassment against Riley and that Riley's mental health is at stake are particularly funny. You know, this is almost a perfect parallel in which